Today's edition of Mac Voices is sponsored by Smile, the makers of PDF Pen, PDF Pen Pro, PDF Pen for iPad and iPhone, PDF Pen Scan Plus for iPad and iPhone, Text Expander Touch, and Disk Label. Find out more about all their great products at smilesoftware.com. And by the Mac Voices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter for Mac Voices viewers and listeners. Get the inside scoop on all the Mac Voices news by visiting macvoices.com/newsletter to subscribe. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the Talk of the Mac community. I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, I'm kind of agitated right now because we have David Sparks with us. You know him as the author of the MacSparkly Field Guides, and that's what we're here to talk about. What's really disturbing to me, though, is, oh my God, he's on video.
Yeah, I know. I did.
David, how did this happen?
Well, Chuck, it's about staying married to my wife and not putting my bedroom on the internet. But I got a piece of string and I tied it across the room, and I got some curtains. These are called now officially the Chuck Joyner curtains, and I strung them across my room.
The fact that you have the Chuck Joyner curtains in your bedroom is deeply disturbing, David. But we won't go any farther down that path.
All right.
First off, before we get to the MacSparkly Field Guides, congratulations on a big change. Your fans probably know about it, but I'll let you tell everyone what I mean by that, because you've kind of shifted focus and reoriented your life a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know, this MacSparkly thing has been a passion of mine for a long time, but I also really love being an attorney. But I found that it was just getting really difficult for me to keep up with the demands of the law firm and also, you know, do the MacSparkly thing. So I decided I'm going to leave the firm and go out and become an indie lawyer. So I have a solo practice now, which gives me a lot more control over which clients I keep and which ones I don't keep, and hopefully a little bit more control over how much of my time spending being a lawyer. You know, a lot of people are asking me, well, does that mean you're going to stop being a lawyer? No, I actually really love being a lawyer, but I don't want to do it the long hours that you get when you work in a firm. So I'm working shorter hours, which will give me more time to make more content for MacSparkly. So it's all good.
That's great. That's great. What's your practice? What does the indie practice, I should say, focus on, David?
Yeah, I'm a business attorney. I represent about 50 companies with all sorts of problems, contracts, and some litigation, some transactional. And I'm like the in-house counsel for a lot of companies too small to have an in-house counsel. It's a great practice. I like the people I work with. It's all good. But I felt like I needed to, at this point in my life, you know, as you're getting older, if you don't make that move at some point, you know, momentum kicks in and you never make that move. So I did it. And I'm still sorting it all out, but it's really great. I mean, the community has been so nice to me, and I've got so many nice tweets and emails from people congratulating me on it. It's just, I feel like I'm just the luckiest guy in the world some days.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I'm happy for you. And I'm happy that you get more time for the MacSparkly stuff, simply because that means more great content for the rest of us.
Yeah, and I've got some good stuff planned, so hopefully we can talk more. I'll get my curtains out again.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I think that's good. But again, we won't go there. So I think I've got this right. The two most recent entries into the MacSparkly Field Guide are for the workflow for the iPhone and iPad, and OmniFocus.
Yes.
And I'll let you talk a little bit about those two. But before we get to those, these are a different kind of MacSparkly Field Guide.
Yeah, they're video only. I've written now 5 books in the MacSparkly Field Guide series, and the books are media-rich books. You know, I've talked about like paperless and presentations and some of them before. A lot of them are, you know, a big pile of written words and image galleries and video screencasts all combined into a iBooks author book. For these two in particular, they didn't seem appropriate for the full book treatment because it was more a single application. And how do you use a single application? Well, the best way to learn it is to watch me use it and have me explain. So for both OmniFocus and the Workflow app on iOS, I felt like the best medium for those was just a video. So I've got these, like the OmniFocus one is 2.5 hours, and the Workflow one is 1 hour. So they're these really extended videos. They're fully bookmarked where you can go through and learn how to use an application. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do any more books. I've got a bunch of books planned, and in fact, the next big field guide is going to be a book. But for certain topics, it seems to me like I'm going to be doing the videos for some things and the books for others.
That's great, because you're not pigeonholing yourself.
Yeah.
Are these in iBooks format, or how are you publishing these?
No, they're just I'm going low tech in the sense that you buy it from my website and you get the video file, and you can download it. I don't know if I should say this, but it's not at all DRM'd. So, my whole plan is I want my customers to be able to read or watch the video without any problems. So once you download it, you can install it on your iPad, you can watch it on your Mac, you can put it on your Android tablet, whatever floats your boat. And and that's the way you get it. So you get the video file, and it's a big download. The OmniFocus one, I think, is something like almost 2 gigabytes because it's just it's like a movie, buying a movie.
Yeah. Is it a .mov file or a .mp4 file? What's coming down?
.mov. .mov, and fully bookmarked.
Great.
Yeah. I wanted to make it as accessible as possible to people.
So I got to go this much geeky on you, David.
Yeah.
What are you using to record it, and how are you handling that part, the editing?
Sure.
ScreenFlow?
ScreenFlow is the primary weapon of choice, but I also use Reflector, which is an app that allows me to reflect the iPad. Although the most recent version of ScreenFlow will also allow you to plug your iPad and iPhone in directly to the Mac and capture it that way. And then there's some QuickTime games you can play as well. And I use some of the Apple products, like Motion, and sometimes I'll put additional animations in, and sometimes I'll use Final Cut for bits and pieces. But by and large, the laboring ore is ScreenFlow.
Okay, that question was just for me because I'm just always curious as to how the sausage gets made.
Well, it's funny because I've been doing these screencasts for 7 or 8 years, and I remember the battle days where you had apps that just recorded the screen, then you had to get it into Final Cut, and there were all these steps you had to take. It's a lot easier now than it used to be.
So let's talk about the OmniFocus book, video, field guide.
Yeah, sure.
First, what is your approach to OmniFocus? I know anybody that listens to Mac Power Users knows that you're a huge proponent of OmniFocus and the Omni products. What was your approach to this?
I probably talk about it too much, to be honest with you, but I find, how sometimes an application makes it possible for you to do things you didn't think you could do. And OmniFocus is that for me, because I have a lot of responsibilities in my life, my kids, my work, my MacSparkly stuff, and all these different areas of responsibility. And in order to keep track of all the things I need to do for all of them, OmniFocus is just a great tool. It allows me to compartmentalize or look at everything generally. It's a task management application for big boys and girls. And if you use the David Allen stuff, it's even more useful than that. But you don't need to be a getting things done person. It could be useful for anyone. But because it's so powerful, it also has an on-ramp. It's not something that you just pull out of the box and start using in 5 minutes. I just think there's a bit to learn. And I have a specific process I use in OmniFocus, and it really does kind of follow the David Allen stuff. But like I said, you don't need to be a getting things done person to do it. But you want to capture your tasks, you want to get them out of your head. That capture step. And OmniFocus, there's like a million ways you can do that. And so I explain all the different ways you can capture things very quickly. And then you want to process those tasks. Once you've captured them, you want to make sure, well, which ones am I going to keep, and what am I going to do, and where do they fit? And I explain that in full detail. And then you want to do the tasks. And then you also want to review the tasks. When you get done, you want to review projects and see what still exists and what's on your radar. And I walk through that process over the course of the video and show each step in great detail. So by the time you spend the couple hours learning the program, my guarantee, and nobody has contested this so far that's bought it, that you will get the 2 hours back and a lot more, because you're going to be so great at it. You're going to be this ninja at managing your tasks that you're going to get that time back. And I think that's the whole idea behind the video. It's just I had to get it out of my system. Because I do talk about it a lot, and people ask, well, I understand, how do I make it work better? And I said, you know what, I'm just going to show you how I use it from soup to nuts. And the video has been very popular, and people, I've got a lot of really nice emails from people about it, so I'm very proud of it.
Do I need to know anything about OmniFocus, or can I just,
Nope.
Is this just straight from scratch?
You could take it right out of the tin and start the video. In fact, my wife, finally, because she's blogging, she's got her own business, she's got a bunch of things going on all of a sudden, where she realizes, hey, I need better tools, and you keep talking about it. So she watched my video, and she'd never used OmniFocus before, and she's already really efficient at it, So I would say that you don't have to already know anything about it. In fact, there's for both these videos, there's a significant length sample you can download. I think the OmniFocus one's like 20 minutes. And even if you don't own the application, if you just watch that sample, and the sample's a big portion of the capture section of the video, it really gives you a good feel for it.
Do you touch on any of the iPad or iPhone ancillary programs?
Yeah, throughout.
Okay, so you're really teaching me OmniFocus in the whole Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, because there's some parts of it that are really better on iOS. So I wanted to show you how to, like, Capture is a good example. Capture is great on the Mac. I mean, there's keyboard shortcuts and things you can do, but a lot of times you want to capture something, you're not standing in front of your computer. So the iPhone is really great for that. So I could go through all that.
You make it sound easy, and I know OmniFocus is so powerful, and so you don't feel like there's any significant. Well, you're here to help us overcome the learning curve. Yeah,
there's a bit of a learning curve. I don't think you could deny that, because it's a powerful tool, and I mean, you could probably pull it out of the box and get by with it, but you wouldn't be taking advantage of its power. If you're just going to use it at the most basic level, it's probably not the application for you. But if you learn what more it can do, it really is a cut above the other stuff out there, in my experience.
Okay, now I got to ask you to take us a little farther down that road, because you say at its most basic level. So I'm going to assume that's just your basic, notepad of things to do or that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so what are the extra capabilities that you see pushing it up into that next level?
The many ways you can capture tasks, like you can capture an email and it'll save a link to that email. So like if Chuck wants me to be on his podcast, I can save it as a task in OmniFocus and say, put this in the MacSparkly miscellaneous project and mark it as an email contextual thing when I want to do email, and push it off 3 days. And in 3 days, I'll say, well, what do I need to do in my email list, since I'm sitting in front of my email? And one of them is respond to Chuck about being on a show. And the OmniFocus task has got a link right to that email message, so I can tap that. It'll open up the original message you sent me an email, and I can reply right there. That's just one of so many. I mean, like the review process is really powerful. You can have it say, here's a really important project that's time critical to work. I want to review it every week to see how it's doing. Here's another project that's not time critical. It's not that important. I only want to review it every 6 months, and OmniFocus will only show you what you need to see when you need to see it. I mean, the better we can get at making computers do what I call dumb thinking for us, and free our minds to do, the real good stuff, the better off we are. And OmniFocus, to me, is the application that does that for task management. It takes care of things for me, in essence.
Those are some good examples. I especially like the idea of being able to say, okay, I only need to see this every 3 months or whatever. And so now it's off my list, and it'll pop up when I need it to be, but not before, not after.
Yeah. A real basic concept of task management is that the human brain is really bad at keeping track of things it's supposed to do. I mean, we aren't that far away from our ancestors that were running away from saber-toothed tigers. And if we see saber-toothed tiger even today, we would run. We don't need to open an app to figure that out. But the modern world requires us to do so many things and keep track of so many little bits of things we're supposed to be doing. Our brains aren't wired like that. You need the computer to do that for you. And if you have a good program, no matter what it is, you will benefit. So, and that's why I said I had to get this out of my system. I just feel like this can really make a big difference for a lot of people.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, I do. And I love getting the emails, because a lot of people bought it and they email me telling me how, now I can go home. I'm sleeping better because I know that I'm not, everything's handled, and that stuff. I mean, that triggers all of my happy chemicals.
Yeah, let's not go there either. That's right in there with the.
I think I make you uncomfortable in every interview.
Yeah, Chuck, somehow. You seem to manage to take us places I didn't expect to go. Okay, so before we leave OmniFocus, what kind of pricing is there? And I think I know where to go to get it, but where should I go get it?
And I have a simple pricing model. Everything is $10, and you can get it at MacSparkly.com. And there's just a link on the right side. It says OmniFocus Field Guide, and you're in. So
perfect. Thank you. Let's talk about workflow. And I'm going to let you introduce workflow as to what it is, because I imagine there are a lot of people that haven't seen that, and we're talking about not workflow in the general sense, but in the program sense.
Yeah, workflow to me was just an amazing application that showed up on iOS late last year. And if your listeners are familiar with Automator on the Mac, I bet a lot of them are. Automator is a program that Apple made that allows you to automate things to just happen for you, like automatically resize photos and email them to the catalog guy or whatever it is that you do. And it almost lets a normal person become a quasi-programmer, because you can create little applications that do things automatically for you. It's a wonderful tool. And I've included it in a lot of my books, screencasts about how to use it, because you can find once you understand how it works, it's very easy to pick up, and you'll find all sorts of excuses to build little Automator workflows. And I always felt like, boy, wouldn't it be great if Apple made Automator for the iPhone and the iPad? But then, reality would kick in, and you'd like, there's no way that Apple would ever make something like that on the iPhone and the iPad, because the whole thing is supposed to be super simple. Well, then there's this group of guys that made this app called Automator, which essentially, Workflow. The app's called Workflow, which essentially creates Automator for the iPhone and iPad. I joke, but I'm somewhat serious that I think they must have naked pictures of somebody very high up at Apple, because I don't know how this ever got approved, right? Because it just seems to me like something that couldn't even exist, but it's great. So, and it ties applications together. So, as an example, one of the ones I do in the video is a workflow that takes my current location, and it figures out the distance I am from my home. And all I do is I push one button, and it does that. It grabs my current location. It figures out how far I am from home. It opens up the Messenger app, and it creates a text message to my wife that says, "Hi, honey, I'm leaving now. I will be home in X minutes." And it inserts the length of time that it figured out it's going to take me to get home from where I'm currently at. And I can save it to my home screen, because you can save the workflows essentially as apps. So I've created a tell my wife I'm going to be home in X minutes app. And I just press the button, and it happens when I'm leaving a meeting or something, and she knows exactly about my ETA. And that's something that I did in like 3 steps in workflow. But you could build tip calculators. You could make one of the things I almost put in the video, but I knew everybody would give me too much trouble. So I think you can make like a crazy 8 game in that, because you could have it do a random number and pick, and so there's just so much you can do with this application. It's hard for me to kind of verbalize it. And we talked about it on Mac Power Users, and I realized that an audio podcast was like the wrong place to teach people how to do this. So I spent an hour, and I lost track. I think it's about 15 or so different workflows and workflow of how you build these little things. And they're like Lego bricks. You just kind of stack them on top of each other, and things happen. And once again, it's something that I had to get out of my system, because I really wanted people to see how great this application is. And again, I've had great feedback. People really love it, and they're making all sorts of cool workflows with it. So if you've ever had the desire to try and automate your iPad or your iPhone, this is the one for you.
Today's edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Smile, the makers of PDF Pen, PDF Pen Pro, PDF Pen for iPad and iPhone, PDF Pen Scan Plus for iPad and iPhone, Text Expander Touch, and Disk Label. Find out more about all their great products at smilesoftware.com. If you work with PDF documents for business or just for yourself, then you need PDF Pen from Smile. PDF Pen gives you the power to edit and annotate your PDFs, run optical character recognition on them to turn them into editable text, and even export them to Microsoft Word. With the Pro version, you can export to Excel and PowerPoint, and that means you can also export to Apple's Pages, Numbers, and Keynote too. Smile just released yet another great update to PDF Pen, bringing it to version 7.1. Now you have new ways to control page numbering, including control over font, color, formatting, and page range. You also have new stamps to choose from, like paid, faxed, copied, and more. You can even create custom stamps that contain your name and the date the document was stamped. PDF Pen 7.1 also brings auto deskewing when performing optical character recognition, and that's a great thing because it improves the quality of the resulting scan, making it even more useful when you annotate it. And there's improved voiceover support in PDF forms as well as other fixes and improvements. All that on top of interactive PDF forms, integration with iCloud Drive, and a whole lot more. Want to learn how to use all these great features? Michael E. Cohen wrote the book on PDF Pen, literally. In Take Control of PDF Pen 7, you can learn all about the great new features and how to put them to work for you. You can find PDF Pen 7 and PDF Pen Pro 7 on the Mac App Store, or you can download demo versions and buy direct from Smile at smilesoftware.com. Find out just how much you can get done with your PDFs with PDF Pen from Smile. Smile, the makers of world-class software. Thanks to Smile for their ongoing support of MacVoices. The first time I picked up workflow, it's like I knew what it was supposed to do, but I thought, I don't expect it to be. I expect it to be something that's going to be more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah.
And my very first workflow, not only did I do it, it worked. It's useful. It's like, wow, So I've been playing with it some, but I'm curious, and to put you on the spot, to give us some more examples, because what I find with so many people is that they have trouble figuring out what they can automate. What kind of things that yours was a perfect example. It's not uncommon for someone to tell their wife or significant other or whatever that I'm leaving, I'll be home in a little while.
Yeah.
But you do it over and over and over, yet you don't think about automating it.
Yeah, one of the ones I built also was one that looks at my calendar and it shows me my next, I think, 4 upcoming appointments. And whichever one I tap the button for, it goes to Google Maps and it gives me a street view. So like if I'm going somewhere and I've never been there before, I want to get a street view of it. I press one button and I get a street view on my iPhone. So it's a great way to see where I'm going. I mean, it really is. I mean, they've got workflow components for managing contacts, for maps, for photos. I mean, just about anything you can think of, they can do. One of the workflows, I think one of the Mac Power Users listeners wrote in about was he made a workflow that automatically saves an image to multiple sources because he's got a family where some people are on Apple shared galleries. Some people are on Facebook, and he said his parents don't do any of that stuff, but they do check text messages. So when he takes a picture of his kids, he presses one button in workflow and it saves the picture to the Apple gallery, it saves the picture to Facebook, and it text messages them to his parents. So he knows it gets to all the various people with one button. I mean, it's really, I mean, really, if you're out there and you've got any interest in this stuff, I almost can guarantee you're going to find a use for this application. And you don't, I mean, even if you don't get my field guide, go buy the app. These guys are just amazing what they've done. You can learn it, by yourself, but the field guide makes it easier.
Well, but I also think that first of all, you're the guy that would encourage us to push the edge a little bit, or our edge, and do the more complex things instead of just creating. I know one of the first ones I did, I think it was one of the built-in ones that, in fact, it was the way you started out, that you take a couple pictures and it builds an animated GIF, GIF, whatever.
I know.
And
I love that.
Yeah, that'll get us emails right there.
Every time.
Mm-hmm. I love that because it really did show me right away just how easy it is. And since then, I've been playing with it. But that's a workflow I would never have thought of, to send someone how long it'll be before I get home. So very interesting. Very interesting. What's the most complex workflow you've built with it, David?
I think probably I made a very complex tip calculator that took into account multiple parties and quality of service, and because I just wanted to show you all the math operators, because there's some really complex math you can do in there, and that one was pretty complex. But it just I think that's probably the most complex one in there.
It fascinates me, that because there are apps out there that would do that, but you just wanted to do it as an exercise in geekery and also as a demo.
Well, also, I just wanted to, I felt like there's apps out there that can do that, but how many people can make the app to do that? How many people could actually program their own tip calculator? Most people can't. Most people, you open up Xcode and they're just going to scratch their head. But with this application, and a normal person, someone who's not a programmer but it's got some interest in this stuff, can go really far down that rabbit hole. I'm not saying you can make apps on the par of OmniFocus or whatever your favorite app is. But if you want to make little utilities to make your life easier, you don't have to be dependent on an app developer to do it with an app like this out there. You can probably roll it yourself.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Yeah.
So this field guide is also $10, also at MacSparkly.com.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, okay. What else have you got going? Because I know that with the transition, I know that you're still, getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm only a month in, and I've, setting up the back end stuff of setting up your own law firm has kept me pretty busy the first month. But I've got, I'm going to be doing a lot more free videos and stuff on the website because I've got a little more time now, and so I've got a list of those. I just put one out on last week. I did a free short video because PDF Pen added a feature that I really love, and it's the ability to de-skew photos. When you scan in a photo and it's a little bit crooked and you do the OCR to it, it always is hard to work with it because optical character recognition really relies on it being straight. Now PDF Pen automatically straightens it for you with this new version. I was so excited about the feature, I made a video of it. So, and I've got a list of other videos. I'm going to try and get probably about one a week out. So I'm going to have a bunch more new content for people. And the Mac Power Users is doing better than ever. The audience is still growing. We've got some great guests lined up and lots of stuff going on there. And like I said, I'm hard at work on the next MacSparkly Field Guide. The next one is going to be a book. It's not going to be a video. And I'm very excited about sharing that, but it's just not quite there yet. I want to get a little bit farther along before I start talking about it too much.
I have to confess, I've sort of lost track. How many field guides do you have now, including the videos?
Seven.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can remember when we talked about the very first one.
Yeah, I know. In fact, you were there at me with Macworld when I was contemplating the first one, when it hadn't joined the world yet.
Yeah.
So, I've been this long journey together, Chuck.
and it's I finally got you on video, David. That's the
I know.
thing.
It took a while. That's one of the things I said. I'm going to quit my job so I can be on video with Chuck. That's the main thing. I can be home during the day. I have good lighting. Got my curtains. I'm so ready. I even put my shirt on. See,
yeah.
I got this shirt at Macworld in 2006 or something.
Yeah, I'm glad you put the shirt on, David.
Yeah. Oh, you mean you don't want me to do it shirtless?
I don't think that'd be no.
No, I don't think I want to see that either.
Well, as they say, I can fix that in post. That's, black bars all over the place. So MacSparkly.com is where folks go to see this. Of course, MacPowerUsers.com is where they get to hear you and Katie Floyd do your weekly thing.
Yeah.
And your Twitter account is?
MacSparkly.
I sort of figured that.
Yeah.
Any other locations that you hang out on social media, or is Twitter pretty much it?
Twitter's pretty much it. I've been playing with Facebook lately after all these years of not being on it, but I'm trying to keep that more or less with family, but we'll see. Yeah. Things in my life have the ability to expand.
Yeah, your popularity will overtake you, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks for the great field guides. I'm looking forward to getting the workflow and maybe learning a little more about it than I've previously known.
All right, Chuck. Thank you so much.
We'll do it again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Keep the curtains handy.
Okay, I will.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. Go check out David's field guides. They're great sources of information. He has a way of taking really geeky things and making it approachable to the rest of us, and that includes me. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the MacVoices blog. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the MacVoices Dispatch, to stay up to date on all the latest MacVoices news from our front page or at MacVoices.com/newsletter. Do more with your Apple tech by subscribing to the free MacVoices magazine on Flipboard by visiting MacVoices.com/magazine. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.